Do you ever dread those awkward silences, frantically searching for something to say? David did too, his anxiety making every pause feel like a failure. But what if silence isn't a threat, but an invitation? Discover how David transformed his fear into his greatest strength, learning the surprising secret to true connection. This story will change how you view quiet moments forever. David was talking a mile a minute, his words tumbling over each other like a waterfall. He wanted Maya to like him, but inside his anxiety whispered that any silence was a sign of failure. He was determined to avoid even a millisecond of quiet. Maya sat across from him, her gaze calm. It was hard to slip into the flood of conversation. David's voice was a constant current, making the silence seem like an enemy to be defeated. Maya leaned forward and asked, "What's something you've made that you're proud of?" David blinked, surprised. He gave a quick, shallow answer, hoping it sounded impressive enough. And then, suddenly, a silence fell. 1 second passed. 2, 3. To David, it felt like an eternity. His heart raced, panic flaring in his chest. He opened his mouth to tell a pre-rehearsed joke, but then he stopped. He saw Maya not glancing at her phone, but looking right at him. Her expression was open and patient, waiting without needing him to rush. The silence wasn't pressure, it was a quiet challenge. He closed his mouth. The silence wasn't awkward, it was expectant. It was a pause, not a void. David took a deep breath. The frantic energy inside him began to ebb. The tight knot of tension loosened. Actually, he said, his voice quieter, softer, more natural. I restore old, broken chairs. I find them, fix them up, bring them back to life. There's something about taking something worn out and making it useful again. It feels good to create something meaningful with my hands.
Maya's eyes lit up with genuine interest.
The corner of her lips lifted in a warm smile. The conversation shifted, slower, deeper, real. They talked about chairs and craftsmanship, about finding value in imperfections, about patience and care. David found himself listening as much as speaking. The space between their words was no longer a threat. It was a bridge. For the first time that evening, David stopped fearing silence. He realized that his anxiety was about being truly seen. When he allowed space for honesty, the silence became an invitation to connect more deeply. By the time they left the cafe, the shared breath between conversations had taught David a new way to be with others. Calm, open, and unafraid of quiet moments, and in that shared silence, a real connection had begun. David walked Maya home, the streetlights casting long shadows as they strolled. He noticed the gentle rustling of leaves and the quiet hum of the city, sounds he'd been too anxious to notice before. They paused at her doorstep, the silence different now, comfortable, expectant. Thank you for listening, Ine, David said, meaning it not just for her ears, but for understanding his heart. The silence let you speak. From there, she said, touching her chest gently. David walked home that night feeling lighter than he had in years. He wasn't just charming, he was seen. The next day, David found a quiet moment at work and just breathed. He didn't fill the space with chatter or noise, but just existed in the present. His restored chair project took on new life. The silence allowed him to hear the wood, to understand its history. He began to appreciate the pauses in life, the quiet moments that held the deepest meaning. David and Maya continued to see each other, finding comfort and understanding in their shared silences. They learned that the most meaningful connections are often forged in the spaces between words, where hearts can truly meet. David finally understood the power of the shared breath in his relationships. And so David lived on more comfortably in the silences and knew the language of their shared heartbeats.